What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Deal Solo Fishing, and today we are going to be going over a couple basic steps on filleting fish. Once you get down these steps, you can pretty much fillet any fish, no matter the size. But before we get into it, I'd like you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and now that we got that out the way, let's get right into it. All right, guys, so before we get to filleting this pretty fish, we're gonna go over the knife. I got this knife off of Amazon. This knife is called Men with the Pot German Steel. It's not a bad knife, but one of the biggest things you gotta remember when buying a knife is that you don't have to have 2 and 3 or even 4 or 5 knives when filleting fish. One knife does the trick in 90% of the cases with 90% of the fish. Just find you a nice knife with a nice handle that you can fillet down here to the smallest fish. This white grunt here is maybe 12 inches, all the way up to big Cubera snapper or kingfish. Well, now that we got that out the way, let's get into it. The first thing you want to do when filleting this beautiful white grunt is make your first cut right here. Make your first cut. That is going to make it easier for you to peel off that fillet when you're done. And then you want to go right up at the top right here. Turn that knife right there, but don't go down and don't go past these fins here. You want to stay right on top of that spine or rib cage. So you just go like that and just get it however you need to get it. It does not no special way. It's not a really special way on how to do it. You go down, you go in there, and when you get to the end here, I don't know if you can see, but when you get to the end, you can kind of feel for that spine or back, and just go right through it like that, and just go all the way down like that. Now that you've made that initial cut on the side and that cut right here along the fins, the top fins, right? You can kind of peel it up. And you can, once you peel it up, you can see all that meat and you can see the spine there. Now all you have to do is just slide your knife down the spine. Slide it right down the spine. Now that we've touched that, we broke through those pin bones, because there is a couple pin bones. Now you're going over the rib cage. One of the biggest things you gotta remember is when you're going over the rib cage, right there, you got to turn that knife. So you already filleting it like this, right? You're already filleting it like this. Turn that knife up a little bit. So turn it up. Turn it up. There we go. And just work your way right over the rib cage. Work your way right over the rib cage. And just like that, you got a nice fillet. Unfortunately, these bad boys do have a pin bone here, right here. You're gonna have to cut that out. It's about from there to there. Anyways, let's get to the other side. The other side is a little bit harder to fillet, seeing that the fish is now not whole again. I find it easier to make, obviously, that rule number 1, make your initial cut right there. But instead of going down the spine like that, I usually come up the spine. Now, filleting fish is dangerous because you are working with a knife. And then I go up the spine from the tail. That's how I usually do it. Just like that. And the same rule, peel that meat back, look for that spine, and fillet your fish down that spine. Once you get to the rib cage, once you break through those pin bones, you get to the rib cage, you turn that knife up a little bit, right? So as you go down the spine, you want to stay close as you can to the spine, to the backbone. But once you get to those rib cages, you have to turn that knife up. So you turn your knife up, just like that, and you start filleting down the rib cage. Yep. And unfortunately, these fish don't have a lot of meat on it at this size, but what they do have is nice tasting meat. So that's how you fillet a black grunt. The thing I like to do before getting rid of these pin bones is I like to go ahead and take them right off of the skin, just like that, and do the other one here for a second. Another thing too is when you're filleting a fish, you want it to look almost identical, and you want to be able to see. You want to be able to see light through it. You want to be able to see light through it. You want to be able to see the bones connecting. If you don't see that, that means you left too much meat on it. But yeah, there we go, right there. So how we're gonna get rid of these pin bones is you basically feel for them. You take your knife, you go down, get on the other side, go down, you cut them right out. That's usually all our pin bones right there. Yep, that's everything. So now you got a nice small fillet, but it's gonna be delicious. Feel for those pin bones. And there you have it. These fish have, great meat, nice white meat. It's kind of soft a little bit, but it firms up once you fry it up. Now that we got that out the way, we're gonna go ahead and fillet another fish. All right, now we have the black grunt or Margate. Still kind of stiff from the ice. These fish have very tough skin, but they are a weird looking fish, but they have a lot of meat to be on them for such a small fish. This one here is 13 inches or so, maybe 14 inches. He is a decent sized one, but they get huge. They get very, very big. All right, let's get into it. Obviously, your first step, same thing. Even a different fish with tough skin, same thing. Make your first cut, your initial cut, to make that fillet a lot easier to peel off when you're trying to separate that meat from the bone. And then you take your knife. You can either go down like that, or you can go from the fin, the tail, I should say. Just work your way up. Work your way up all the way to the head. Once you got that initial cut out of the way, as far as working your way up all the way to the head, it's very easy to separate that meat from the bone. You just start sliding your knife down. And some fish bone are like indented, I guess, that backbone. So you might have to, once you get to it, it's gonna hold you up. You gotta go over it, and then do your fillet. Otherwise, you're gonna miss a lot of meat if you just raise up and then go. Like I said, these fish have tough skin or scales. Same thing. Once you get to those bones right there, you can turn your knife. So turn your knife up and then go, right? Turn it up, just like that, and then start getting those, start separating that meat from the rib cage, just like that. There we go. And these fish here, obviously, they do have pin bones. Once you get done with the filleting, you're gonna have to separate these pin bones from the fish fillet. Same thing again on the other side. You do your first cut, right? Turn it around. Now, when you're doing this side, you can always go from the tail back up. I like to switch it up on different sides. It just makes it easier for me. Again, you go at the top of the head, you turn your knife this way, and you go down. Once you get down to the end here, you can kind of feel for that backbone and go right through. Trying to get that end up. You just peel the meat back, and then you start sliding your knife right on down. That's why that initial cut is probably the most important thing you do, because if you forget that, when you're filleting, when you're separating that meat from the bone, from the spine, it's going to be very hard to peel up if you don't have that initial cut. And there you have it right there. Another test is see if you can see light through the fillet. If you can see light through the fillet, you did a pretty good job. But there you have it right there. That's your black Margate right there, grunt. We're gonna go ahead and separate him. We're gonna go ahead and separate the meat from the skin here. One of the things you have to remember when separating the meat from the skin is not to press down directly on the skin. Kind of figure out where it is and just slide it at that same degrees, at that same thing. You can always raise your knife up just a little bit to kind of get rid of that red meat. But in this case, with these fish, we don't have to. They have great meat already. But you can raise it up just a little bit. Like you see the knife, you raise it up just a little bit. Okay, yeah. There you go. And take out the pin bones. there you have it. A nice fillet off of that Margate right there. All right, we got a spot now. These fish are very, very sneaky. They have these human-like teeth. I don't know if you can see that, but they're like kind of like teeth like sheep head. Let's open his mouth. It's kind of frozen, but you might be able to see the teeth. Same thing. Loosen them up a little bit, and then go ahead and make your cut. Also, when you're making your cut, you don't always want to be straight. You want to curve it a little bit to get that head meat, just to get a little bit of extra head meat. Same thing. You want to start just like that and work your way up to the top. Work your way up right onto the head. Yep. Then once you work your way up to the head, you put your finger in there, and just like that, you separate that meat from the spine. Once you get to the rib cage, obviously same thing. Tilt that knife up, go into it. There we go. With some fish, you might end up cutting into the rib cage just a little bit because of the sharpness of the knife. They don't have very thick and strong rib bones, so it might be very easy to go through. I'll try to do a little better on the next side. Same thing. Make your initial cut right there. Work your way down. Separate that meat from the bone. All right. Once you get to the rib cage, turn that knife up a little bit, 90-degree angle, and go for it. And there you go, right there. Another test, once you raise it up, you should be able to see light through it, or your finger go through it. You should see your finger right there. Now that we've got that out the way, these fish have the same thing. Pin bones right here, but we'll get them out once we separate the skin from the meat. And there you have it, nice fillet right there. All right, so what we have here is a porgy. He has white meat as well. Um, they are a pretty decent fish, I think so, with great tasting meat. Um, let's get into it. There you go, right there. You can take a look. First things first, you do your initial cut right there. There you go. Turn them around. Turn that knife like that and go right down the spine, all the way to the tail. Once you get close to the tail, you find that you can poke it. If you poke it, you poke through the meat, you'll be able to find the backbone, right? Just raise your knife up just a little bit and go right over it. You should be able to still feel the backbone on the bottom on this side of your knife. The meat is on the top. You stick it all the way through and go all the way down. Now you'll be able to pick that meat up and slide that knife right down, right down. Once you get to the rib cage, same thing. Turn that knife up a little bit and ride it down. Just like that. Same thing here. Make your initial cut. Right there. I like to start at the tail from this side. Just take your knife and work your way down. Ride your knife down the spine. Separate that meat from the skin. Once you get to the rib bones, once you get to those rib bones, that rib cage, turn that knife just like that. And there you have it. Nice porgy fillet, just like that. Just like that. Another test you can do always to see if you filleted the fish good. See if you can see your fingers through it. See if you can see your fingers through it. I don't know if you can see it, but I did leave a little bit of meat here, mainly because it's probably Russian. But you can see if I can get it without cutting through the. There we go. I did leave a little bit of meat here, but we won't make a big deal about that. Make a big deal. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and separate this stuff. When you are filleting fish, just remember to make that initial cut. That is the most important one. And always remember to take your time, and because it's all right to spend an extra 30 seconds to a minute on a fish, especially when you went out there all day and caught them bait and gas and time, and then get home and destroy it. So remember to take your time. It's okay to have an extra 30 seconds to a minute on a fillet. Gives you extra meat, and it looks better. Also, these fish have pin bones as well. Just separate them. There. There. And there you go, right there. We ended up with not a bad amount of meat. This is enough to feed 3 people right here. Right here, not a bad amount of meat. Obviously, you can see all that white meat, all that good, delicious meat. And now it's the cleanup. You're filleting fish inside of a house. You want to have a bowl to put the carcasses in, and obviously it needs to be trash day the same day or the next day, because these things are going to end up stinking in your trash can. But thanks for watching. If you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button.